Hey, Reese Terrio with Fulcrum here. Today's episode is about objections and how to handle objections. So, to keep it brief, the first thing you should understand is the difference between an objection and a question. A lot of salespeople get all inside of their head and they're looking at questions, honest questions from prospects and leads as an objection. The easiest way to kind of sniff this out is if the thing that they're saying to you is not a true way to try to get out of doing business with you, then it's not an objection, because objections are barriers people put in front of you to sort of stonewall you from doing business with them. So good examples of objections would be, we don't have time, we don't have money, I can't make this decision, I need to talk to somebody else, all those types of things. And those things are barriers for you getting their business or you winning their business. A question is more of a question, like, do you integrate with this software, or what's your pricing look like, or how does this work exactly, or why do you think this is going to work for us? Those kind of things are just honest questions, and they shouldn't be looked at as objections. And if you approach honest questions like an objection, you're going to seem really defensive. So that's my first piece of feedback. So that gets us into how to properly handle objections when it's a true objection. So the best way that I've learned how to do this is what I call the VPAC method, VPAC. First, you validate the objection. You make people feel heard and understood, because the number one thing you can do to sort of disarm an objection is to make people feel like you're hearing them. So you want to validate that. Something like, hey, look, that makes total sense. Or, hey, look, I've heard that before. Or something like, yeah, I get it. That's a fair thing to say. Something like that will put somebody at ease, letting them know that you're actively listening and you're not just trying to push your own agenda, that you have their agenda at heart as well. The second thing would be, after you validate, you want to probe the objection. You want to find out more, because typically there's something beyond the objection that they're giving you. You hear a lot of people say that objections are just smoke screens for deeper reasons why people don't want to buy. And I found that to be the case. But sometimes if you've built enough rapport, the objection is the objection, that they're getting a sense of anxiety or they're getting a sense of fear in moving forward, and it's because of a reason that's attached to that objection. No, maybe it's not the specific reason, but there's something there, and so you want to take it as gospel truth, because it's the truth, it's their truth, it's the truth that they're giving you. But you want to kind of dive deeper into it and find out the why, how, when, where, what behind it. Then you want to try to provide an answer to the objection. So think of this as like a rebuttal, although I don't like the word rebuttal because it kind of makes it seem like a chess match, and it's really not a chess match. You want to just provide a well-articulated, well-educated answer on the reason why they shouldn't see that as an objection. And then once you do that, you've made them feel heard, you've tried to find out more beyond, you've given them a good answer or a rebuttal. Then you want to ask if it's okay that you continue, or that you continue the conversation, or that you continue moving forward with the dialogue. I found that the VPAC method is the best way to kind of overcome those types of obstacles. And then the final thing I'll say is, if you're getting the same objection over and over and over again, and you can pretty much bet that, hey, when I get into a sales conversation, these are the three things that people typically are going to rebut or object to me about. If you're getting that, you want to think that the obstacle is the way. What I mean by that is, you want to load those objections into your presentation, into your conversation before they raise them. So you may say something like, hey, at the end of the conversation, you may say something like, what questions do you have for me? And if they pause for a second, you can say, typically customers ask me about this, and this. And you bring up those objections, and then you start answering them one by one. And that's gonna really open people's eyes to the fact that you've done this before, you've talked with people before, you've heard these questions and objections before, and you're well prepared to handle them. And then also sometimes objections can become the way that you actually sell. So, for example, if you're selling into a school system or a district parish level system, and they have a formal buying process, so they look at new technology, new services in the fall and in the spring, and you know that if you call a lead and have a conversation with them, that they're probably going to say, hey, look, before you keep going, we look at these things in the fall and in the spring. Then you want to kind of call that out in your opening conversation and say, look, a lot of people I talk with, they look at these types of things in the fall and in the spring. If that's true for you, let's look at your calendar for maybe March or November and see what a good day and time is in the first week of those months, so that we could pick this conversation back up. Because I know that the chances of you even giving this any attention right now is pretty slim to none. So you use that objection as a reason for them to tell you yes. And it's not just a reason to tell you yes, it's actually credence that you know enough about the market and you're paying close enough attention to people that they're in control of this conversation. And you're also kind of in control of the conversation too, but they feel like they're in control. So I would say that know the difference between an objection and a question. Use the VPAC method, validate, probe, answer, and continue to overcome objections when they are objections. And then finally, if you're getting the same objection multiple times and it becomes a consistent thing, remember that the obstacle, the objection, is the way. Thanks so much.